Something about Phil Mickelson's situation right now just feels different. And if you've been following the golf world closely this week, you probably feel it too. One of the biggest names in the game took $200 million from Saudi Arabia to join LIV Golf. He helped build the league. He became its most visible face. And now, 4 years later, that same league and that same money are both sitting on the edge of collapse. But here is the part that makes this story hit so hard. Phil Mickelson cannot go back to the PGA Tour. The door that opened for other big names like Brooks Koepka stayed closed for him. And when he finally spoke about the funding crisis, the pain and uncertainty in his position became impossible to ignore. If you love real, emotional golf stories that show the human cost behind the massive contracts and big headlines, hit that like button right now and subscribe. Let's go back to the beginning, because the full arc of Mickelson's journey with LIV is the only way to understand how dramatic this moment actually is. When LIV Golf launched in 2022, it arrived with a promise and a checkbook unlike anything professional sport had ever seen. The Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, a sovereign wealth fund sitting on nearly $1 trillion in assets, began writing checks that the golf world could not process. More than $1 billion injected in 2021, more than $1 billion in 2022, the same again in 2024 and 2025. A fresh injection of $266.6 million approved by PIF Governor Yasser Al-Rumayyan at the start of 2026 alone. The cumulative total reached $5.3 billion before the season even reached its midpoint and was on pace to blow past $6 billion by December. None of it was enough, because LIV Golf has not generated substantial media rights revenue in 4 years of existence. It has not built meaningful ticketing income. Its broadcast revenue outside the United States in 2024 was just $3.2 million. The PGA Tour's television contract is worth approximately $700 million per year. LIV's net spend averaged $100 million every single month through 2024 and 2025. The UK entity alone lost the equivalent of $590 million in 2024, bringing total losses for that entity to approximately $1.4 billion since 2022. More than $1.3 billion was spent on player contracts alone. And Phil Mickelson was the most expensive symbol of all of it, $200 million. That is the figure attached to Mickelson's signing with LIV, confirmed across multiple major outlets including The Wall Street Journal and Yahoo Sports. $200 million, paid to a man who was 51 years old when he joined the league. $200 million paid to the player who had called his own backers scary in a conversation that became public and nearly destroyed his reputation before the league played a single competitive round. $200 million paid to the man who became the public face of LIV Golf in its most turbulent and controversial early period, when sponsors abandoned him, when the golf world turned on him, and when Augusta National quietly kept its distance. He took it anyway. He said he believed in what LIV was building. He said his legacy would be LIV Golf and helping grow the game for a younger generation on a global platform. He became captain of the High Flyers team. He gave interviews about the next 10 years and the opportunities he wanted to create for young golfers through this new structure. He committed fully and publicly in a way that closed every door behind him. Then, on Wednesday, the 16th of April, the Financial Times reported that the PIF was on the verge of cutting its financial support for LIV Golf entirely. The Wall Street Journal reported imminent closure. The Athletic confirmed it. Fox News sourced that the funding could be cut specifically at the end of the 2026 season. And the same day all of that landed, the PIF released a brand new 5-year domestic investment strategy with language focused entirely on Saudi Vision 2030 objectives. Golf was not mentioned once in that document. The geopolitical context sitting underneath all of this is something that no one inside LIV Golf could have planned for. The ongoing conflict involving Iran has created severe economic pressure on Saudi Arabia's oil revenues. Saudi energy infrastructure has been targeted, the Strait of Hormuz has been disrupted, and the financial fallout from the war is forcing Mohammed bin Salman to make hard decisions about where the PIF's money goes next. He is redirecting focus toward the $500 billion NEOM Supercity project and 15 new soccer stadiums being built for the 2034 FIFA World Cup. Saudi Arabia is investing heavily across boxing, Formula One, tennis, and soccer simultaneously. In that environment, a league that loses $100 million every month and has failed to build a self-sustaining commercial operation in 4 years is a very difficult thing to keep defending internally. Golf journalist Alan Shipnuck relayed a message from a player's agent that bin Salman could potentially use the Iran conflict as a force majeure clause, a legal mechanism to exit contracts when extraordinary circumstances make fulfillment impossible. If that avenue is pursued, the contracts that every LIV player signed, including Mickelson's $200 million deal, enter a legal landscape that nobody inside the sport has navigated before. LIV CEO Scott O'Neill responded to the crisis the way a CEO has to. He sent a letter to staff telling them the season continues exactly as planned, uninterrupted and at full throttle. He said the media landscape was full of speculation and that LIV's reality was defined by the work done on the grass. He flew from a New York executive board meeting directly to Mexico City, where the 6th tournament of LIV's 2026 season was taking place, to address players in person. He told industry sources the league was funded through 2032. But funded through the rest of 2026 and funded through 2032 are not the same sentence. And the players who heard both versions of that message in the same week are smart enough to know the difference. The warning signs had been building for months before the Financial Times story broke. Brooks Koepka left LIV in December 2025 before his contract expired. Patrick Reed departed in January 2026. Both men found their way back toward the PGA Tour structure. Koepka paid an extraordinary price to return: a $5 million donation to charity, forfeiture of FedEx Cup bonus money, no sponsor exemptions into signature events worth $20 million, and no equity grants in the PGA Tour for 5 years. He paid all of it. That tells you what staying inside LIV was starting to feel like from the inside. Mickelson watched all of it from a position he created for himself. He was the biggest name. He was the most controversial recruit. He burned the most bridges, and he cashed the biggest check outside of Jon Rahm's $300 million deal. And when the PGA Tour designed a return pathway that included Koepka, DeChambeau, Rahm, and Cameron Smith, every major winner who joined LIV after 2022, Mickelson was excluded because his most recent major win came before LIV existed. He said he was not looking to return anyway. He laughed it off with emojis. He said his time in golf would finish with LIV. That statement now carries a weight it probably did not have when he made it. Phil Mickelson made a bet in 2022. He bet on the money, on the Saudis, on a league that was going to disrupt the entire structure of professional golf and give players power they had never had before. He said it out loud. He sacrificed sponsors, relationships, and his standing with the institution that had defined his career for 30 years. He got $200 million to make that bet. 4 years later, the league is bleeding $6 billion toward a funding cliff. The men he once called scary are preparing to walk away. The door back to the PGA Tour is not open to him. And the legacy he said he was building through LIV Golf is sitting in the same uncertain place as every other player contract inside that organization right now. $200 million. It bought him a place in history, just not the one he thought he was paying for. If you enjoy this kind of real, honest conversation about the massive risks, the human cost, and the uncertain future of professional golf, make sure you're subscribed. We're pushing hard toward 10,000 real golf fans who appreciate when someone connects all the dots. So tell me in the comments, Do you think Phil Mickelson made a mistake by joining LIV Golf with that $200 million contract? Or was it a smart business move that simply ran into forces bigger than golf? Reply with mistake or smart move and explain why. I read every comment and reply to the strongest ones. One more thing before you go. Phil Mickelson bet everything on a new vision for the game. 4 years and $200 million later, that vision is hanging by a thread. And the man who once called his backer scary is now watching the money that was supposed to secure his future potentially disappear. If this video gave you a clearer picture of what's really happening behind the biggest contracts in golf right now, share it with a friend who loves the drama and business side of the game. I'll be back soon with the next big story that actually moves the needle.